peeps, welcome back to Project NoMBe, and in today's video,
we're going to show you some tips on how to prevent puckering.
So let's get to it.
So Megan, what is puckering?
Puckering is basically when your results come out kind of bunched up and tightly gathered, and it doesn't really look that great.
Yeah, we see that a lot on some cotton tees that we've made.
So here we have an example of puckering. This is a cotton tee material. You can see we just cut off some of the pieces.
For this particular project, we used a tearaway stabilizer. But what happened is when we hooped it much too tightly. And that is, I guess, make sure when you're hooping that you're not stretching your cotton tee material in the hoop, because that basically will come back together when you unhoop it and will cause some of these bunching areas. So now we're going to go over some tips on how to prevent this very frustrating issue. So the first tip we'll give you when doing cotton tees, at least, is to make sure you pre-wash your shirt before you do your embroidery project, because cotton tees have a tendency to shrink up after washing the first time.
When you're embroidering denser projects, you may not want to use tearaway stabilizer as it can become a little bit weaker, so you could try doing cutaway.
Yeah, cutaway stabilizers are a little bit more stable, and when you're doing multiple layers upon multiple layers of an embroidery project, the tearaway stuff will kind of tear away really at the edges of your embroidery project, which can lead to an unstable design and can cause bunching. So by using a cutaway stabilizer, which is a little bit more stable, it will prevent that movement.
Another stabilizer trick you could try is using double layer of a lighter stabilizer instead of a thicker one.
Yeah, so if you just don't have a thicker weight stabilizer, you can just double up on a lighter weight stabilizer and pretty much do the same thing. In a pinch, you could use another non-stretchable fabric behind your embroidery fabric to have the same effect as a stabilizer. For non-t-shirt type projects, such as quilts and other bigger type embroidery projects, you could use a fusible stabilizer, which will help absolutely secure down your fabric to prevent those bunching issues. We have a couple that we could use here is a fusible mid-weight interface, an iron-on. You could also use some basting adhesive that could have the same effect. The issue that you may have here is that once you fuse this on the back of your material, it's staying there. So don't suggest this type of method on a t-shirt unless you really want a big piece of stabilizer stuck on the inside of your shirt. Along the same realm, tender touch can actually be used as a stabilizer. If you cut out a square and iron it on the back of a t-shirt before embroidery and then hoop that in your hoop, it actually has the same effect as a fusible stabilizer, but it's going to feel nicer after the fact because it's supposed to be tender touch.
It just makes it less itchy because of the stitches.
Yeah, definitely less itchy than if we were going to be keeping on a fusible stabilizer. Another tip you could try, if stabilizer isn't giving you the results that you want, is stiffening your material with a starch. This stiffening of your shirt will actually help prevent it from stretching during the embroidery process, and it easily washes out after the fact. Lastly, another way to help prevent puckering is hooping your project properly. And in the beginning of this video, we talked about not stretching your cotton tee material because that will definitely cause puckering, but actually making sure that your hoop is contacting your material overall around all edges. That will prevent it from squeezing in. Now you can do this one of several ways, making sure that this is actually tight enough to hold your material all the way around. But if you're still getting areas, which we have seen in projects before, where kind of like right here, etc., will kind of be a little bit looser than the corners, you could actually use some bandage tape around to help secure that in place around those sides.
If you have a thinner fabric, this can be useful so it doesn't shift. All of the stuff that we mentioned is stuff you can do after making your embroidery design, so a future video will be looking at what settings you can do within ink stitch.
Yeah, which can also help prevent some puckering.
So someone actually commented this idea, so thank you for commenting. So we haven't done all these tips, and we haven't had many issues puckering, but if you do, hopefully these can help, and if you have any other tips, comment them down below, and also if they work for you. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like if you liked it.
Like it.
Subscribe if you enjoy our content.
Subscribe.
And turn on those notifications so you get my every single time we post a video. Stay crafty.
And be happy.
Bye.